Welcome to Boostpad Academy Computer Training course. In this video series, I'm going to teach Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. How do we work with all these three programs is what this tutorial focused on. This is the introductory part. So, for us to know about computer, we have to know the basic knowledge about the computer. What is a computer? So, like the general definition usually given to the pupils in school, computer can be defined as what? As an electronic machine that accepts data through input devices, process the data, and gives out information through output devices. So the question we are going to ask ourselves is that, why is computer an electronic device? Computer is an electronic device because it uses electricity, that is, it requires voltage before a computer can work. That's the reason why the portable computer like the laptop, there is always a battery to power it up. Then we said it is what? It accepts data through input devices. So what are input devices? What is input device? So input device, these are devices that is used in sending data to the computer. So anything we want to put something to the computer, whatever device we use to put that into the computer, we call it input device. So what is output device? So just like input device, there are some devices we use to retrieve data from the computer system. Like the screen we are looking at, in which we are reading from, is an example of output device. So output devices are being defined as what? Devices used to retrieve information from the computer system. Then what is the difference between data and information? If you remember, we said data to the computer through input device, while we receive information through output device. Why do we call it data? Why do we call it information? What is the difference between these two? So data means raw fact, while information means processed data. That is, all the data we have in the paper, we input them to the computer letter by letter. As we are inputting them, so the computer will put the letters together to give information which we are reading on the screen. That's the reason why we said we use input devices like the keyboard we are typing, like the mouse we are used to control the arrow, so we can see the mouse pointer dancing. So those are the examples of input device, while the screen we are reading from is an output device. So how we'll be discussing about the components of computer system. So what are the components of computer system? Computer is made up of two parts. What are the parts? The first one is hardware, and we have software. Those are the two parts in which the computer component can be divided into. So let's start with the hardware. What is hardware? This is the physical component of the computer system that can be seen or touched. All those parts, all those things that we are looking at that make us to realize, okay, this is a computer, that's what we call the hardware, because we are able to identify them because we see them, we can touch them. So all those parts that can be seen and touched are the one we call the hardware. Examples of the hardware in the computer system are the keyboard, which we use for typing. We have the monitor, the screen, the one like television that we are looking at, that's the monitor. We have the mouse, that's more one that we are using to control the pointer that we see dancing on the screen, that is the mouse. And we have the CPU, that is the central processing unit. Those are the major components of a computer system. So if you are not talking about the software, what is software? This is an invisible component of a computer system that cannot be seen or touched. The software, we cannot see it, we cannot touch it, but without it, the computer cannot work. That is what brings life to the computer, just like the way human being, as we have the dead, If we have two different persons on the ground, one is dead and the other one is sleeping, we can hardly differentiate between the two of them. But by the time we touch them, we will realize that one is breathing. What is breathing? That breathing is life. That life is exactly like the software in the computer system. That is what brings life to the hardware. Without the software, so there is nothing we can do on the computer system. Examples of software are the Windows, that is the operating system, Windows 98, Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows 2007, 2008, 2010. All those Windows are examples of software. The Microsoft Word, the CorelDRAW, those are the examples of software. So by the time we get to the software properly, I will be explaining everything in the series. In this video, I will be discussing about the computer hardware. So what is computer hardware? This is the physical component of the computer, and it comprises of the what? The system unit and the computer peripheral. Those are the two ways in which we can divide the computer hardware. We have the system unit. So this is what we call the system unit. Generally, most people used to call it CPU, central processing unit. But if you are talking about the CPU is one of the components inside the system unit. But because it is the major component of a system unit, that's the reason why they usually call it CPU. But we call it the system unit. This is the physical component that houses the major component of a computer system, like I said. So what are those components? We have the motherboard. The motherboard, that's the one people call panel. People say panel. We call it motherboard. We have the CPU, like I said, the central processing unit is one of the components inside the system unit. We have the RAM, that is random access memory. We have the storage like the hard drive, where all our information are stored on the computer system. Everything are found inside the system unit. So like I said, let's look at it. This is the complete set of a computer system. We have the monitor, we have the keyboard, we have mouse, and we have the system unit. Like I said, we can see the system unit, that is the system unit, which means every other part of that computer that comes under what we call the peripheral. So computer peripheral, so this comprises of the input devices and output devices, which means all these other components that I mentioned, they serve as either input device or output device to the computer. So for example, we have the keyboard, we have the mouse, and we have keyboard, we have mouse, and we have the monitor. So all those three, they have what? They serve as either input device or output device to a computer system. Now let's look at them. We have the system unit, we have the monitor, we have what? We have the mouse, then we have the keyboard. So both the monitor, the mouse, and the keyboard, the three of them, they are what? They are computer peripheral, and they either serve as what? Input device or output device to the computer system. In summary, so this is the summarized structure of the computer hardware. You can see the system unit at the middle. So we have input device at the left side. So at this side, we can see this is input device, and we have the output device with the examples of them. Input device, the keyboard, mouse, scanner. If we want to scan document, want to scan picture into the computer system, so the scanner that is being used, they are all input devices, including card reader that we use to read codes. So those are the input devices because we use them to send data into the computer system, while the computer screen we are looking at to read everything from which is the monitor. So it's an example of output device. The printer is an output device. So The same thing as projector, but if you are talking about the system unit, we can see inside the system unit, that is where we have the central processing unit, that is the CPU, and the main memory. By the time we get to the software in details, I will be discussing each of these items that we have under the system unit, that is the central processing unit, where we have the control unit and arithmetic and logic unit, as well as the main memory. So program where I will be discussing about the computer software. What is computer software? This is a set of instructions that enables a computer to work. Software are instruction. That's the reason why everything comes steps by steps when we are working on it, because it works according to how the instructions are being set for the computer. It is the invisible component of the computer system. Like I said, we cannot see software, we cannot touch it, but without it, the computer cannot work. And computer software is made up of, one, we have the system software and the application software. System software and application software, those are the two types of software that we have. So let's start with the first one, which is system software. This is the software that enables the users to interact with the computer. Just like I said, without the system software, there is nothing like computer, because the computer will not come to life. That's the reason why when you see some people, when they on the computer system and it just brings some kind of code errors, they couldn't access the window, that means the system software is faulty. That software that allows you to interact with the computer, immediately you put on the computer, you can see the computer will home, it will load, it will boot, then gets to the window. It is the system software that is doing all those work. So as a soul is to the body, software is to the computer hardware, like I explained before, which means the only thing that brings life to the computer hardware is the software. Without the software, there's nothing. A computer system is as good as a dead system without the software. It is the software that brings life to a computer system. So system software is made up of operating system, utility, and translator. If we are talking about the operating system, that is the software that brings life to the computer system. So operating system, for example, all the Windows, that is Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows 2005, 2007, 2008, 2010, they are all operating system. That's the reason why if people are talking, if they are telling you your computer, the software is corrupt, it is the operating system that is corrupt. So if your computer is malfunctioning, it is the operating system that is faulty. The best example I can give is like our phone. When the phone is hanging, the phone is malfunctioning, people will tell you you will need to go and flash the phone, or you format the phone. The formatting we are doing on the phone, we do the same thing with the computer system. When system is malfunctioning like that, it is the operating system that is faulty. If you are talking about the utility is what brings about protection to the computer. So for example, there are some programs being made for the computer that have been inside of that computer that protect it from attack. All those programs comes under what? The utility. Why we have the translator? Just like the human being, we have our own language in which we communicate. Computer also has its own language. The computer language is in form of 0 and 1, and most of the people writing programs, they use combination of both code and words, the normal English word to write program. So there is a translator that will now translate this code into the computer language for computer to be able to execute those programs. So that language is what we call translator. All these things are built inside the computer system. So all those programs, operating system, utility, translator, they are all called what? The system. They are all what made up of the system software. But if you are talking about the application software, that is where we are really going. This is the software that enables the user to perform specific operation. So the kind of the application that you are going to install your system depends on what you want to be using the system for. For example, in our phone, if we want to collect a file, a video, an image from another phone, the next thing you hear people asking you is that, do you have sender? Because we know sender, or do you have, is your phone having Bluetooth? Because we know all these things are the requirement for you to collect something from another phone. Sender, Bluetooth, their application. The same thing happens with computer system. Anything you want to do on the computer system, if you have a work to do, you want to type, so there is an application required for that. That's the reason why we said application software enables the user to perform specific operation. So just like the first, like I said earlier, the work to be done determines the kind of the application to be installed in a computer system. So application software is made up of, we have word processing, we have spreadsheet package, we have presentation package, we have graphics package, we have game package. So there are a lot of application softwares, but these are the most common application software, and these are some of the application software. Some of this software will be considered under this program, like the word processing, the spreadsheet, and presentation package. This package, whether we like it or not, we need their knowledge in this generation in which we are today. Those three packages forms the focus of this. I will be discussing about the application software. What is application software? Like I said earlier in the former video, this is the software that enables the user to perform specific operation. You want to type, which type of software do you need for that? So if you want to type, so the work you want to do will determine the kind of the software that you will need to install on your computer system. So the number one of this software we are taking is word processing. What is word processing? What do we use word processing for? This is used for typing, editing, and formatting text documents like letter, memo, among others. You want to type letter, you want to type memorandum, among others. The kind of the software that you need is word processing. And a good examples of word processing is Microsoft Word. So which means if you are talking about Microsoft Word, if they ask you what type of application is this, it is a word processing application. There's lots of word processing application like the word art, so there are a lot of word processing application we can access. So the work we want to do, but the most common one among them is Microsoft Word. We type letter, we type memorandum. Letter is the letter we type and send to other persons or other organizations, is what we call letter. If you are talking memo, is the one we type and send within the organization. So the second one is spreadsheet package. What is the work of the spreadsheet package? If this is used for calculation, when it comes to calculation, you have a business, instead of you writing, doing the account in paper, using calculator, that you at the end of the day you make mistake, you can use one of the spreadsheet package in which you input the formula. So anytime you make sales, anytime you input anything, the computer will do the calculation for you automatically. So that will prevent errors that might have occurred from human beings. So a good example of word processing package is what Microsoft Excel. So it's one of the package I'm going to take under this course. We are going to take Microsoft Word under the word processing package. We are going to take Microsoft Excel under this spreadsheet package. I will take you through how to use each of these programs. In fact, you don't need any assistant. The way I'm going to put this tutorial, even without prior knowledge of computer, you will get everything right. So the third one is presentation package. When it comes to presentation package, if you are going for presentation and you want to project, you want people to be seeing what you are discussing on the screen, the kind of the package that is required to do that is what you call presentation package. So this is used to in designing slides for presentation. A good example of presentation package is what? Microsoft PowerPoint. Even like this video that I'm doing, all these presentations that I've been doing, I use PowerPoint to design everything. So this is one of the things I'm going to teach you. You'll be able to prepare slides like this and present it anywhere you are going to. Then we have graphics package. When it comes to image, when it comes to design, we will be talking about graphics package. So this is used for designing. You want to design letter, you want to design banner, you want to design business card. So what you are going to need is what we call graphics package. So a good example of graphic package is CorelDRAW. CorelDRAW is very good for designing banner, business card. But when we are talking about photo editing, you want to edit picture, add some words, you want to bring some life, you want to bring two enemies together, shaking hands, acting like friends. So there's a software we use for that, we call that one Photoshop. That's the reason why in most cases when some pictures are brought to people will say, this is Photoshop, because you can do anything you like with pictures when it comes to Photoshop. Photoshop is also an example of what? Graphics package. So the last one we have game package. So there are software for computer as well. Just like the way you play game on your mobile phone, you can play games on your computer system. So this is used for playing games. So for example, we have Mario on the computer system, even GT. There are a lot of computer games, Grand Theft Auto, all those soccers that you play on the phone, you can also play them on a computer system. There are software for them. So video number 6, we will be discussing about the computer keyboard. Like I said, before you can do anything on computer system, you just have to know how to use the keyboard. Computer keyboard. Keyboard is an input device that is used to send data to the computer system. Like I said in my previous video, that anything used to send data to the computer system is called input device, and one of those devices is keyboard, because if you want to type anything, we use keyboard for typing. So keyboard is an input device. So and this keyboard we are talking about has sections. Look at the keys. We can see the arrangement of the keys. We can see that the keys are grouped somehow. So we have to understand this grouping for us to be able to know how to use this keyboard. So that takes us to what we call the sections of the computer keyboard. So a computer keyboard has 5 sections. The first one is called alphanumeric keys. Alpha from the word alphabet, numeric from the word number, which means if you are talking about alphanumeric, you are talking about that section that has both alphabet and number. And which section is that one? If you look at that section, you can see we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 at the top. Then under it we have Q W E R T Z blah blah blah. So we have letters. You can see that from that section we have both numbers and alphabets at that section. So we call that sections alphanumeric keys. So like I said, alphanumeric keys comprises of both alphabet and number. So the second one is numeric keys. At that section we have only the number. Look at the section at this side, that is at the right side. You can see. So if you look at that side, we have just numbers 1 2 3 from the bottom, 4 5 6 7 8 9. Then we have 0 down. So that section we call it the numeric keys. That's the second section. The third one we have function keys, which we call the F keys. Look at that at the top, which circled red. If you look at it, we have F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6 down to F12. We call them function keys. Each of them have their own work. They have function when we are working on the computer system. That's the reason why we have to understand them. So that's the function keys. Then the fourth one, we call it the arrow keys. So we can see that one. We can see the arrow pointing up, down at this side. So we can see the arrows. So up, down, we have left and we have right. We call it arrow keys or cursor key. Either arrow key or cursor key, we call it the two, that is arrow or cursor key, because we also use it to control cursor. What is cursor? Don't worry, by the time we get to the Microsoft Word, you understand what a cursor is. Then the fifth one, which is the last one, is what we call the special keys. They are called special keys because they perform special function. Most of these keys are pressed along with other keys, so to perform operation on the computer system. So what are the special keys? Those are the special keys. We can see it from the escape key down. We can see the R2 arrow, we call it the tab key. We have the shift down to the control. So all this, so window, alternate key down like that, enter, and the rest, we call them the special keys. That is special keys because we use them to perform special function in the computer system. Each of these keys, I'm going to explain them one after the other in the next video for you to understand their function. So like I said, those are the 5 keys: the alphanumeric key, the numeric key, function key, arrow key, which is the number 4, while the last one is what? The special key. Thank you very much once again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with others. Until the next video, I said take care of yourself. In the next video, I will be discussing about these keys and how to use each of them, as well as the control keys. That is very common. You'll be hearing people talking about control A, control B, control C. What is the meaning of each of these control? I will give you all the control keys we have before we get to the normal work, which is the use of each of these programs. Thank you very much once again.